our players, I think, and the community. Just to say again a huge thanks to the University of Texas and our athletic department for supporting this game, and to all of the schools for participating. I think it's a great day for everyone. It's a win-win because they get a chance to see our university and be exposed to women's basketball. I think more importantly even than being at a Texas basketball game, it's just for some of these guys, it's the first time to see a women's basketball game, and I appreciate all the efforts for this game. I thought that our team tried to do some things that we addressed in a quick hurry, really, because we had a quick turnaround from the Arizona game as far as practice days, and I thought we had an intention in the beginning of the game to try to move the ball intentionally, which was skip passes, quick reverses, play off of our post players. And I think sometimes with this young group, everything is very literal for them. So I thought there were some possessions early in the game where, yes, we want to play off of our post players, but there's 4 people around them, so let's just keep it moving. And it's just a learning process for them. Yes, we want to play inside out because I think our posts are very effective, but you may have to move the ball back and forth several times to get the team out of help side. And tonight in particular, in the first half, we needed to make shots, and I thought we did that. That was the most encouraging thing of today, is that I thought our guards got to see the ball go through the hoop, and as we move forward, that has to happen. I still continue to be a little bit frustrated with our team with just carelessness sometimes with the basketball, not making the simple play, and our ability or inability right now to guard the basketball is very frustrating for me. I think, as everyone knows, I love defense, and I like to try to control the tempo with our defense, and we're just not guarding the ball very well, and we've got to try to address that in the next few weeks.
Questions? This is kind of a tonic that you kind of needed, though, kind of winning an easy game routine, and like you say, your guards hit 11 threes. That sort of thing.
They did, yeah. I think that they needed to see it go through the net, for sure.
Yeah. LaShawn, what did you think of the game as far as the bounce back after Sunday's disappointment?
Well, after Sunday, we just got back into the gym and we discussed and practiced what we could do better. And like Coach said, it's a learning experience for everybody because we have a lot of young players. So we're just trying to figure them out, and we're all trying to figure it out. So, I mean, it was something that we just have to continue to work on, have to continue to get better at.
How about that balance scoring? You had 6 players in double figures. Joyner had 19, so how important is the balance scoring for the team?
It is important because sometimes the post players aren't going to be open, and like tonight, as it showed, it's just something that we have to continue to do, continue to move the ball, and just continue to shoot the ball whether we miss or make.
And as far as you got 20 fast break points, that's not something you get every game, is it?
It is also something that we stressed in practice a lot because we haven't been getting a lot of fast break points. So we talked about heavily how we need to run the floor better and try to steal as much points in the fast break as possible.
Yeah. So that's how important was it to you to see the ball go through the hoop after a rough start?
Yeah, it was pretty nice to see my teammates being able to find the open shots and reversing the ball and flipping the floor like we talked about, and just being able to be open and knock down those shots. It was really good to see the ball go through, but it's just like they were saying, a part of a learning experience, and I'm not going to hit every shot I take, so just knowing that I can do it, I think that's what helps me out the most.
Yeah. In fairness, they really had to pack people inside to try to protect against Joyner and Celeste, so that opened up on the wings, right?
It did, but that was a bit of a carbon copy, really, of Sunday. I mean, the teams that we've played so far have really packed it in, and that can mess with your mind a little bit. And I thought that our guards, they paid attention today. I mean, there were even times early in the game that I mentioned to them that they didn't even necessarily have to stand at the three-point line. I mean, they were packing it so much that we could step into easy twos, and I thought they tried to do that. And then as it opened up, they started to attack the basket and make some good decisions there. I thought Izzy Palmer was a really big lift for our team. And honestly, as we move along, I mean, she's a 3-point threat, and she's a point guard. So I think that her development will help even players like Joanne Allen Taylor, who has been getting a lot of reps at the 1, but she's a natural too. So we'll get a little more, I think, people playing in their natural positions and not feeling the pressure to do things that they're not necessarily comfortable doing. And I think that hopefully that will start to get some defensive chemistry. Because this is all about chemistry. I mean, even offensively, it's where are the open people and just the chemistry of making extra passes and trusting each other. But that also happens on the defensive end, and right now we've got to figure that out too. But it was nice to see. I mean, we had a couple players with several assists. I mean, Shug had 7 assists and a turnover, and that's what Shug's days should look like. She knows what the easy passes are and the good decisions.
As far as Izzy goes, her shot wasn't falling, and then she had, a really strong
Mhm.
night. And she seems very composed and mature.
Well, she's-
The World Cup experience or what?
Yeah, I would say that for Celeste and Izzy both, just the international experience and being on a big stage a lot has helped them with being able to go, learn the task of going from play to play. And both of them have that capabilities. And again, I mean, I mentioned this in my press conference the other day. We have 3 guards that didn't go through any reps in the summer or the fall. And one of them sitting next to me, and the other 2 I mentioned too in the press conference. But it's just, that's our reality, and we're going to continue to improve. I mean, there's a reason why you practice and you get in reps, regardless of whether they're with your position coach or with your team. And they're just now starting to be able to do like extra work and practice and do some extra shooting. I mean, all of that goes hand in hand with confidence.
And what do you feel like Izzy's brought to the team when you say Celeste? What do you think of her game?
Especially today, I mean, we see a lot of her in practice, shooting threes, finding the open man, being a true point guard. She loves to pass the ball, especially on fast breaks. So I think she's going to bring a lot of energy, and her defensive intensity, being that rebounder, the guard that rebounds, and going after loose balls and things like that.
Deshaun, what do you think? Izzy?
So Celeste had a handful, but
Yeah.
to add to that, we see it every day in practice, and it was just a matter of being comfortable enough, translating it to game situations, and just tell her that, just keep shooting. You're a shooter.
Yeah.
You make our miss, we're gonna find you. Shoot the ball.
Right. The turnovers raised its head again, especially in the first half. Did you threaten them at halftime?
No, we just sometimes are over anxious. And at this level, the simple play is again, you can't go from A to Z. You have to be able to make the simplest play possible, get on 2 feet, shorten your passes, and those are all things that have to happen. Meet passes. There's some simple things that involve, really, to be blunt about it, it's just slowing down. Just slow down. Maybe look at the basket sometimes and make sure that you've froze the defense. And we're in too big of a hurry, I think, most of the time, and that's where our turnovers come from. I will say that if we would start to apply, we've had a couple of games where we've had a guard in double-digit rebounds. We had one tonight. LaShawn had 12 rebounds, and our transition game would be way better if our guards would get in the rebounding game. And that's, Celeste, I think, had 10 a couple of games ago, but again, against the opponents that are going to try to keep them off the boards, and we have to be more determined. I think that ignites our break. To have a player like LaShawn be able to start your break for you as Shug has always been in the rebounding game for us, and we haven't had that. So I think as we move along, if they could get the visual of what our break would look like with the guard rebounding as opposed to always having to outlet or
Right. You didn't really need them this much because you had such a size advantage, did you?
Yeah, but it's a habit. It's all about forcing your habits. You can't just say, okay, well, this game, I mean, we have to get to a point where that becomes our habit, and they're fighting for rebounds instead of just saying, okay, yeah, Joyner and Charlie get all of them because you're taller than everybody.
Right, right. And Joyner had like 4 turnovers. I think she had 3 walking.
Yeah, just too big of a hurry. Just slow down, survey the floor. Maybe a skip pass is the best thing. We start to dribble with no purpose, and
Yeah.
we'll get better. We'll get better. They'll get into, I think, a comfort, even with rotations and what the expectations are and roles and all of that as we move along.
Coach, how important are non-conference games and just playing in atmospheres like this to the confidence and experience of your newcomers?
I think the atmosphere is really good for our players because sometimes in practice, I mean, I say this a lot, you can't hear me or any of the other coaches when you get into Big 12 play and you're playing on the road. The connection that has to happen within the players that are on the court is vital. And this provides them that environment to say, okay, this is what 5,000 screaming people sound like. And it's just something, first of all, it's exciting. I mean, that players want to play in front of crowds. I mean, that's why they go to big-time colleges, is to play in front of people. And this is a great, great environment. But again, I think the biggest takeaway from this day is to have the young people come in here and see the University of Texas and scream and holler for women's basketball.
LaShawn, what's
It's a
your
treat.
comfortability now, coming back from injury and, getting more and more minutes? How comfortable are you that you're all the way back?
Oh, every day, it's just another chance to continue to get better and better and back to my old self. I mean, you just gotta take it one day at a time and to not try and force the process, because it'll eventually come back. But I've been working a lot on my shot, so I feel like my game is a little bit more balanced than before.
Yeah.
So I feel like till I can get completely back to my old self, I mean, you just gotta work with what I have, and continue to work with my teammates, and they help me get through it. So
Is shooting the last phase of it that comes back, you think, or is there one area that it takes longer?
I'll probably say more so lateral movement and athleticism.
Yeah.
Quickly off the floor again. So I mean,
Right.
just gotta be much more patient with that, and just know that it'll come back eventually.
Is he taught any of y'all Australian lingo or slang or anything like that? Is there any?
No, I mean, not quite. We actually kind of just picked it up because she says it, so we kind of like.
What does she like to say in Australian?
You got that.
I don't know. I think probably one of the funniest things probably like they call red peppers like capsicum.
They
I
call
was
what?
like red peppers capsicum,
Capticum?
capsicum, something like that. But yeah, I mean stuff like that. Just like small little words here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all can understand her?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty similar to English. Just
Yeah.
some words are
It is.
yeah. So like
It's gotta be harder for her, right, Karen?
yeah, yeah.
Probably,
yeah.
yes. Well, first of all, we're trying to understand the New Yorker down here, too. I mean, you've got an Australian and a New Yorker, so I don't know that we know what either one of them are saying. Or they don't know what we're saying. And then we have this one. So
Who just is takes some time.
So what's harder than?
maybe that's why we don't understand each other on defense.
Maybe that's it.
That's it,
Maybe
right
that's
there.
You need a translator.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Which one's harder, LaShawn, New Yorker or Australian to pick up?
Neither one.
No?
No, I think it's pretty. I mean, it's
Just one of the questions about Izzy, Karen, the whole recruitment. I mean, y'all went to the World Cup and saw her?
We saw her a couple of times,
Yeah.
and obviously she would have been in the U19s that Celeste was at this summer had she not had the injury. So we've seen her in a couple of different scenarios and in championship atmospheres.
Yeah. And what do you think?
And then Jamie went down there to the COE and actually saw them work out, and
Yeah.
we followed her along. She's been on several different teams.
Yeah.
18s. I mean, some of them are World Cup, some of them are not. But there's so much streaming now internationally that once you identify someone that you think you would be interested in, there's a lot of opportunities to watch them on streaming. And
There are a lot more in college
Oh, yeah. I mean, we played South Florida, and most of their lineup was international, and they were pretty good. So, yes, it's definitely a different world as far as recruiting than it used to be.
In Australia in particular, right?
Yeah, there are a lot
Yeah.
in the United
Is
States.
there one difference in Australian basketball generally than American?
I think they probably move without the ball a little bit differently than Americans do.
Differently now?
They understand how to cut and move because
Yeah.
they're not maybe necessarily have as much athleticism as the United States, but they definitely know how to get you off balance. They actually run a similar type on-ball motion that we do. I mean, so that was one of the things that I thought was intriguing about that particular group was that they've ran some offensive continuity offenses that we run here in the United States, and I think that's translated for a lot of schools. But again, I mean, a lot of it is their international experience in general. I mean, when they make those national teams and those World Cup teams, it just exposes you to so many different styles of play. And one of the things that I've noticed about both of these players, and the freshmen, I mean, is that they're not surprised by scouting reports and game planning and things like that, which typically that's surprising to a freshman film game. A little bit, sometimes. Just what are we doing here? And I think that they've had some of that. So playing tendencies and understanding game plans and all of that. And I think that that's on a different level in international basketball and World Cup championships and those types of things. So they don't look as surprised maybe by all of that.
Have you played against Izzy before?
Yeah, I played against her in the U17s 2 years ago.
Where was that? Do you remember?
Belarus.
Belarus?
Yeah.
You shut her down?
I wasn't guarding her, actually. I didn't guard her.
Yeah. What do you remember about her?
She was a shooter. She was a shooter on that team. She liked to facilitate. Basically the same thing she pretty much does here. But yeah.
Yeah.
She just remembers she won.
Yeah.
Y'all won?
Yeah, we won.
You hold that over her head?
Yeah, we do. We do. We always joke around about it.
Bragging
It's
rights,
funny.
right?
Yeah.
And the last question, just international experience. What has that done for you?
I think it's honestly helped me out a lot as a basketball player and as a person. Just being able to experience new cultures and different places that I've been to and just forming new relationships with people and teammates and just having that experience of, like Coach was speaking about, the way that people play. It's so different from different countries. You know, people like to shoot, people like to drive. It's just really different from all the teams that we would play out here. So just having that experience and just being able to guard and, you know, face and match up with some of the best kids around the country and the world. So I think that is what has helped me out a lot. I think defensively it definitely helped me.